Welcome to Omega Bonda Stories. Let's begin.
I reached the hotel after midnight with rain on my hoodie and airport air stuck in my lungs. The lobby was too bright and too quiet. Marble floors, soft music. No one behind the desk. Just a lockbox and a clipboard with late arrivals. I found my envelope with my name printed in clean block letters. Inside was a key card and a room number. I told myself this was the first normal thing that had happened to me in months. One night, one bed, one interview in the morning. Then I would be gone again. I had chosen this city because it was big enough to hide in. I had chosen this job because it promised a clean restart. I had chosen to travel alone because packs leave fingerprints on everything. I did not want any more marks that were not mine. The elevator ride felt like a slow climb into silence. My reflection looked fragile in the mirror, an omega trying to pass as neutral, scent suppressant on my throat, cheap cologne on my sleeves. It dulled the edge, but it could not erase what I was. The hallway on the top floor smelled like linen and money. My room was at the end. I swiped the card. The light turned green. I pushed the door open and stepped into darkness. A lamp clicked on. A man stood inside like he had been waiting, tall, still. A dark shirt that fit like it belonged to power. His face was calm and cold. Not cruel, just controlled. The air around him held pressure that made my instincts flare. He said, "You are in the wrong room." My heat rose with shame. I lifted the envelope as if paper could defend me. I said the key was in my name. I said I am sorry. I said I can go. My voice sounded thin and careful, like an apology was my first language. He stepped closer and stopped at a distance that felt deliberate. He did not touch me. He did not invade my space. He held out his hand. I gave him the envelope. He read the slip. His eyes sharpened for a second. He checked the room number. Then he looked at me like this was not a mistake, like it was a move. He said, "This hotel does not mix keys." My stomach sank. I felt suddenly placed, positioned, offered. He picked up another envelope from the table by the door. A different name. The same room. He stared at it. Then he looked down the hallway through the open door as if he expected someone to be listening. He closed the door gently and locked it. The click made my pulse jump. He walked to the desk phone and called the front desk. His voice stayed low. He asked for a manager. He said his name in a way that changed the tone on the other end instantly. Whoever he was, the hotel recognized him. He ended the call and faced me again. He said, "Did anyone follow you here?" My throat went dry. I thought of the pack I left behind. I thought of the last message I deleted on the plane. "Come home. You do not get to vanish." I had told myself distance was safe. I had believed it because I needed to. I said no. The lie tasted bitter. His gaze held me for a moment, not accusing. Reading. Then he nodded once as if he had expected that answer. He said, "You will stay inside until I know what this is." I said, "I cannot stay in your room." He did not react with anger. He did not smile. He simply said, "The hotel is full tonight." He said, "Someone put your name on my key. You will not walk this building alone." He moved to the far side of the suite and set a blanket on the couch. Then he stepped back like he was giving me space to breathe. His control felt strange. Alphas were loud when they wanted something. This one was quiet. Quiet like a locked door. I dragged my suitcase toward the couch. My hands shook. I told myself I was safe because he was calm. I told myself calm could still be a mask. My phone buzzed in my pocket. One new message. Unknown sender. "We know where you are." My skin went cold. I looked up and met his eyes. He saw it instantly. The shift in my breath. The way my shoulders pulled in. He held out his hand for my phone. I should have refused. I did not. As I placed it in his palm, I understood the truth. I had not booked the wrong room. Someone had booked it for me. He read the message once, then turned the screen away from me as if he refused to let my fear become a show. He powered the phone off and set it on the desk. His face stayed still. Only his eyes sharpened, focused on risk. He called the manager again. He spoke in short, clear lines. He asked for the booking record. He asked who printed the envelope. He asked for the key log. He did not raise his voice. The answer on the other end sounded like panic anyway. When he ended the call, he poured water and placed the glass near me. He stepped back. No touch, no claim, just help offered at a distance. I drank. My throat felt raw from holding panic inside. The water helped, but it did not erase the truth. Someone knew where I was. Someone had a hand inside this hotel. Someone wanted me placed at his door. I said, "Why would they do this?" He said, "I can guess." He said, "I will not guess out loud until I know." That was the first time I felt the edge of his restraint. He was holding something back on purpose. Not anger, calculation. I said, "I will go to another hotel." He said, "No." One word. Flat. Not a threat. A boundary. He said, "You will not move until we see who is trying to move you." The word landed in my chest like a weight I did not understand. He opened the bedroom door and showed me the room beyond. Clean. Dark. A bed made with crisp sheets. He did not step inside. He said, "Take it." He said, "I will use the couch." My pride flared. My fear flared harder. I did not want his kindness because kindness is how cages start. Still, my body wanted to sleep like it was starving. I moved into the bedroom and stood near the door like a guest in my own life. He stayed in the living area. I heard him check the balcony lock. I heard him test the main lock again. Then the suite went quiet. A few minutes later, the phone rang. He answered. He spoke so low I could not catch the words. Then he said, "Bring the security report." He said, "Use the staff elevator." A knock followed. He opened the door a fraction and took a folder from a security supervisor. The supervisor glanced past him and saw me in the doorway. His eyes widened. He started to speak. The man stopped him with a look. The supervisor swallowed his words and left. He closed the door and read fast. His thumb moved over his own phone. A message sent. The call ended before it could ring long. I stepped into the living room because my curiosity beat my fear for 1 second. I said, "Who are you?" He looked at me like names had consequences. He said, "My role is to make people talk." He said, "I do not want you to learn it tonight from rumors." That answered enough. Hotels did not bend for normal guests. Security did not deliver reports in person for no reason. The calm authority in him was not an act. I felt my Omega instincts press close to my ribs. Not attraction. Not submission. A strange pull toward safety that made me angry at myself. Safety should not depend on a stranger. He said, "Sleep." He said, "In the morning we go to the desk together. You will not stand alone while they explain what they did." I told myself the hallway voice was impossible. I had used a different last name for the booking. I had paid with a card not linked to them. I had taken 2 flights and a train. Yet my pack had always been good at finding what they believed belonged to them. They called it care. It never felt like care. I walked back into the living room and lowered my voice. I said, "If they are here, then you should let me leave." I said, "You should not be caught in my mess." He answered with the same calm as before. He said, "If they are here, then leaving makes you easier to take." He said, "Stay behind me if they force the door." I went back to the bedroom and lay down fully dressed. I kept the lights off. I listened to the silence. I listened to him moving. He did not move much. He sounded like someone waiting. My eyes finally closed. A heavy thud jolted me awake. Not inside the suite. In the hallway, like a shoulder hitting the door. Then a voice came through the wood and my blood turned cold because I knew it. It said my name the way my pack used to say it when they wanted obedience. From the living room, I heard the Enigma rise in one smooth motion. And the handle of the suite door began to turn. The handle turned and stopped as if someone felt the lock and grew angry. A fist hit the door. My whole body jolted awake in the dark. My Omega instincts screamed for hiding places that did not exist. The Enigma moved across the living room without a sound. He stood in front of the door like a fixed point. He lifted one hand toward me without looking back. "Stay." I pressed myself into the bedroom doorway. My breath came thin. I hated how fast fear made me feel small. I hated needing his presence to feel steady. A voice came through the wood. Said my name like a command. "Open up. We just want to talk." Talk was what my pack called it when they wanted obedience. Talk was always followed by rules. The Enigma answered through the door. His voice stayed low and even. He said, "You are not welcome here." A laugh followed. Familiar. Pack enforcer. Someone who thought intimidation was a charm. He said that Omega belongs to us. The Enigma did not change tone. He said, "This is a registered suite. Security is watching. Police are on the way. Leave." Silence stretched. Then the voice softened into false concern. "We are worried. Come back. We will fix this." Fix meant erasing my choices until I was easier to manage. The Enigma turned his head slightly. His eyes met mine. He did not tell me what to do. He waited. The way he waited felt like the rarest gift. My throat burned. I stepped forward until I was close enough to the door that my courage could not run. My hands shook. My spine stayed upright. I said, "I am not coming back." The hallway went sharp with anger. "You do not get to decide. Open the door." The Enigma unlocked the chain just enough to open the door a few inches. He filled the gap with his body. He did not give them a view of me. He gave them only to him. The alpha scent outside pushed at my instincts. Hot, possessive, hungry for control. The Enigma said, "Make a scene." Cameras love scenes. Footsteps approached. 2 security officers. A manager with a voice that shook when he spoke to the Enigma. I did not hear every word. I heard enough. Apologies. Logs. The police called. The enforcer tried to look past him at me. I did not let my eyes drop. The footsteps retreated. The laugh did not return. The door closed. The chain set. The lock clicked. Only then did my knees threaten to give out. The Enigma turned and stopped at a careful distance from me. He did not touch. He did not crowd. His eyes searched my face as if he was checking for injury that could not be seen. My chest shook. Tears rose without permission. I wiped them fast and hated myself for it. Hate did not stop them. He set a tissue box on the table between us. Then he sat on the far end of the couch and angled his body slightly away. Space. Control returned to me. I sat on the other end with the blanket wrapped tight. I stared at the carpet because meeting his eyes felt too intimate. I said, "They will come back." He said, "Maybe." He said, "Not tonight." The certainty in his voice made my pulse slow. My instincts pressed toward him again. Not desire. Not instant romance. Safety. Oxygen. I whispered, "Why are you helping me?" Silence held for a long moment. His face stayed cold. Then his gaze lowered like he chose the words with care. He said, "Because I know what it is to be treated like an object." My breath caught. That single sentence cracked his armor more than any fight could have. He walked to the window and looked out at the city lights. He said, "Sleep in the bedroom. Lock it if it helps." He said, "I will stay here." I watched his back and felt my heart tilt in a way I did not trust. It was not an attraction. It was recognition. Like some part of me believed his restraint. I could not look away. I didn't know it then, and my heart wasn't ready to accept what my instincts were screaming, but something had already shifted between us, and there was no going back. If you're feeling what I felt in that moment, then you understand why I need you to stay with me through this journey. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens when he finally breaks his silence, because I promise you it will shatter everything you thought you knew about us. Sleep came in fragments. Each time I woke, I heard the quiet of the suite and the steady presence of the Enigma on the couch. That steady presence felt like safety I did not want to admit. Morning light spilled across the carpet. I opened the bedroom door and found him already dressed. Dark coat, clean shirt, face unreadable. He held out a paper cup of coffee and stepped back. I took it. My hands stopped shaking for one breath. He said, "We go down now." In the lobby, the manager appeared immediately. He apologized too fast. He offered a new room and upgrades and anything that would make this problem vanish. The Enigma asked for facts, key logs, camera footage, a list of employees who touched the lockbox. His voice stayed calm. The manager still looked terrified. Guests glanced at me. My Omega instincts curled inward. The Enigma shifted his stance so his body blocked their view. He did it without comment. Felt gentle and inevitable. The manager finally admitted it. A staff member had duplicated a card. A request had come in claiming to be from my employer. My stomach dropped at that word. Employer. The interview. The Enigma met my eyes once. He understood the same fear. He said, change her room now. I blinked at the privacy in that choice. He was protecting me even in language. He said separate floor. Adjacent to mine. No keys printed in the lobby. Hand deliver. Security posted. No names spoken aloud. The manager nodded and ran. I said I cannot accept this. The Enigma said you do not owe me. He said you owe yourself safety. He led me back toward the elevators. He said you still want the interview. I hesitated. The job was my plan. Now it felt like a net. I said I need it. He said then you will go. He said if you change your mind you will leave. No one will stop you. In my new room he waited by the door while I gathered my notes. When I stepped closer he stepped back. The distance was a line he refused to cross. We left through a side exit. A black car waited. The driver greeted him with quiet respect. I slid into the back seat and stared at my hands as the city passed. The tower we reached wore the same logo as the email that invited me here. My chest tightened. Inside the lobby, the receptionist looked up and froze for half a second before smiling too wide. She said, "Good morning, sir." Sir. Not a guest. Not a client. The Enigma gave my name and said she is here for the interview. The receptionist nodded quickly and handed me a badge. Her eyes flicked to him again and away, like she did not dare to wonder. An assistant led me to the executive floor. The Enigma stayed in the lobby and watched until the elevator doors closed. My body noticed the loss of his presence. That scared me more than the danger. The conference room was glass and light. Water on the table. A river view that looked like freedom. My resume lay in a folder like I had expected. I sat. I breathed. I reminded myself I was capable. The door opened. The Enigma stepped inside. Every person in the room stood at once. I stayed seated in shock. My mind tried to catch up. My body went cold. He lifted one hand. Everyone out. Now, no one questioned him. Chairs scraped. Papers gathered. The assistant avoided my eyes as the room emptied. The glass door clicked shut, and suddenly it was just me and him with a city below that did not know my name. My stomach twisted. I said, "You are the boss." He nodded once. I felt heat rise in my face. Not attraction. Embarrassment. Fear. I had spent the whole night in his space. I had taken his protection. Now it looked like dependence, and I hated that it could be used against me. He said, "I did not bring you here to control you." He said, "The interview is yours if you want it." He said, "If you want to walk out, you will walk out, and I will make sure you are not followed." The word want hit me like a bruise. Want was something I rarely allowed myself. I said, "Why did you not tell me?" He held my gaze. He said, "Names change how people behave." He said, "I needed you to choose safety without feeling you owed my title anything." My throat tightened. I wanted to distrust him. I wanted to find the trick. All I saw was restraint held like a vow. He said, "We need to talk before anyone else comes in." His phone vibrated. He checked it once and his face hardened into sharp calm. He said, "They are here." And the conference room door began to open again. The conference room door opened and two security officers stepped in with faces that told the story before they spoke. One officer said a group is downstairs asking for the interview guest by name. They say they are family. They are refusing to leave. My stomach dropped. Family was the word my pack used to hide control. The Enigma said lock the elevators. He said to call the police and file a harassment report. He said include the forged booking request and the duplicate key. The officers left at once. He turned to me. He said, "You do not have to see them." I said, "If I hide, they will keep coming." He studied me like he was measuring courage and consent. Then he said, "If you choose to stand, then I will stand with you." He said, "You will set the distance. I will hold the line." We rode the elevator down with security in front. My pulse climbed. I kept my chin up because I refused to look hunted. My pack enforcer stood near the front desk with two alphas behind him. He wore a polite smile with hard eyes. He said, "There you are. We have been worried." His scent pushed forward like fingers on my throat. I took one step back. The Enigma took one step forward. He said, "Step away." The enforcer laughed softly. He said, "This is a family business." The Enigma said, "This is harassment. This is trespass. This is a criminal attempt to gain access to a private room using a false request." He said, "Police are on the way." The enforcer tried to look past him at me. I did not let my eyes drop. I said, "I am not coming back." The words landed in public space. Guests turned. The staff froze. My body shook with the bravery of it. The enforcer face tightened. He said, "You are confused. You need guidance." The Enigma said he belongs to himself. Two police officers arrived. Security handed them the log. The officers asked the group to step outside. The smiles vanished. The enforcer looked at me one last time. He said, "This is not over." I answered with silence. Silence was the only weapon they could not twist. They were escorted out. The lobby breathed again. The Enigma turned to me. He said, "Do you want to leave?" Leaving was easy. Running was familiar. Yet, for the first time, I wanted something else. I said, "I want the job." He nodded once. He said, "Then we do the interview." He said, "On your terms." He said, "I will not sit in the room." He said, "If you walk away, I will still make sure you are safe." The interview happened without his shadow. I spoke about my work. They listened. When it ended, I found him waiting at a respectful distance. He did not ask what I said. He asked how I felt. I said I was tired. I said alive. He nodded. Then he said, "I will not claim you." He said, "I will not rush you." He said, "If fate is real, it will not need force." My instincts stirred like they recognized a thread pulling gentle and inevitable. Not a chain. Path. I looked at him and realized home might not be a place. It might be a person who makes room for your choices. Outside the lobby, my legs finally started to tremble. I leaned against the wall near the elevators and tried to breathe. The Enigma kept his distance, but his attention never left me. He said, "You did well." I said, "They will try again." He said, "Then we build barriers that do not break." He said, "A report will be filed today." He said, "Your pack will learn that your life is not theirs to manage." After the interview, he walked me back to the car. He handed me a plain card with a number and no title. He said, "If you feel unsafe, you call." I held the card like it mattered. Then I looked up. I said, "What should I call you?" He hesitated. Then he said his name. Simple. Humans. No rank attached. Hearing it made the world feel different. That's how my world changed and how I found home in the last place I expected. If the story made you feel something deep and real, then I create these emotional worlds every single week for hearts like yours that crave connection that goes beyond words. Subscribe so you never miss the moment when two broken souls find each other in the darkness. Your support means everything, and it lets me keep bringing you stories that understand what you're searching for. Hit that subscribe button and let's feel everything together, because you deserve stories that see you.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more emotional stories.